We're living through an era of golden opportunity for experts, coaches, and creators in this online space, but only if you make the right adjustments to the changes that are going on right now in our industry. You see, we're in a new landscape where the stuff that used to work doesn't work quite the same anymore, because people are aware of what's going on. They're aware of the big empty promises. They know why you have a lead magnet. And we need to adapt with the human behavior changes that are happening. Presently, trust is at an all-time low, and so most people are very defensive to anything that feels like selling. And because of that, you can't really run a big funnel into a team of closers and expect the same results as you would have had many years ago. And then with AI, a lot of people are using it completely incorrectly and ending up sounding the same as everybody else, as opposed to what you need to be doing, which is becoming your own individual and standing out and cutting through the noise with your unique edge. And I think we're starting to see this sort of division happening now, where people that are not meant to last in this space are kind of burning out and failing for lack of purpose and desire to serve, versus people that are actually building something lasting and impactful. And we're not just talking about having a YouTube channel that attracts clients so that we can have a healthy income every single month. We're talking about doing this in a way where you get to help people that you genuinely care about. You get to grow as an individual through your creative expression, and the brand changes with you. And it's future-proof. And we're talking about doing this in a way where you don't have to run ads, you don't have to do any cold outreach or try and force people to buy things from you, because that's just not necessary. Now, I'm fairly qualified to talk about the pains of this journey, because for about 8 years I was making content and it was going nowhere. Ultimately, that led me to moving back into my childhood bedroom at 25. Yeah, I was kind of frustrated with the fact that it seemed the only way to succeed was to do these janky, borderline, unethical marketing and sales tricks to have a business. And I suppose I kind of felt like maybe it just wasn't for me. And that's when I stumbled upon a new approach that actually worked, actually felt good, and was completely transferable and systemizable. And I would be lying to you if I said that I didn't want to give up at least 1,000 times over the years. But I persisted, and that brought me to the point where I was able to hit my first 10K, well, it was actually like 15K month. And I did it in a way that pretty much defied all of what the gurus were telling me. So it's been a couple of years now since I landed on this solution, and I suppose the thing I like the most about it is that I'm able to attract clients reliably without having to sell myself or market very hard. So I call the solution strangers to clients, and it's pretty cool because it's not a funnel. It's quite different to the traditional approaches. And what it does is it attracts strangers into your world and brings them on a journey to becoming a premium client, where honestly, a lot of the time they don't even need to speak to you before deciding that they want to work with you, which obviously is the dream for people like us. Now, I'm not going to show it to you here in my swim trunks, so I'm going to take you inside now and explain what this all looks like on the whiteboard. So there's 3 reasons that it works so well, and that's because there's 3 simple systems. So the first one is the sovereign brand, which is about building an influential brand on YouTube to attract attention and then quickly turn them into followers. That moves on then to the simple alignment wheel, which is a process of, I would say, alignment as opposed to selling, so that you're constantly attracting hot leads 24/7. And then there's the premium client machine, which is basically a way to generate appointments and clients in a way that is honestly very, very low effort. And then that just pours right back in, so it keeps going. And one of the big characteristics of the era that we're in now is that content that feels human is deeply, deeply rewarded. And if you're able to tap into your authentic edge, then you can generate a lot of new business from this approach. And just to give you some examples of some people that I've been working with over the last 6 months or so that have been benefiting from this kind of approach would be Mike. From one video that got about 150 views, he was able to sign 2 new clients, and these are long contracts, high ticket price point. Another that comes to mind is Alexandra, who was able to sign up her first 5 clients for her high ticket coaching. And then another example would be Tom, who literally had an audience, no idea of what to offer. Together we built his offer, and now a couple of months later he's welcomed in his first 4 clients that he's excited to work with. They're excited to work with him. And it's just kind of to give you a sense of how this whole thing plays out in different spaces. So I'm going to break down exactly how all of this works on the whiteboard for you. If you already know and you're serious about hitting 20k plus per month as well, and you want my help to build it out with you, the first link in the description, you can apply for one of my one-to-one private coaching spots. Okie dokie, so the internet is littered with strangers. I'm one of them, you're one of them. It's cool. And because we are building an organic client business, we're going to use YouTube, because YouTube is just the most overpowered way to attract the right kind of strangers that eventually will become happy clients of yours. So the first thing that we're looking at here is the sovereign brand, which is how you future-proof yourself against AI and competition, as it's sort of a category of one that builds your authentic advantages. But more importantly, this includes a content system that is going to turn strangers into followers pretty quickly. So you might be wondering, how do you position your brand to stand out and be a category of one? Well, that's where anti-vision positioning comes in. An anti-vision is, what is the thing that you are against? What do you not want in your life? So to give an example, Dan Coe has the anti-vision of the 9 to 5. Like the perpetual 9 to 5. That is what he wants to avoid. And so people that tune in to Dan Coe videos also want to avoid having a 9 to 5 forever. My anti-vision is, I don't want to be someone I'm not. And I want to be able to make money whilst being myself. So that would be my vision. The anti-vision is, I don't want to fit into a mold that doesn't feel representative of me and that drains me. And what happens when you don't have an anti-vision is you end up kind of sitting on the fence, which is where 99% of brands are. They're not standing for or against anything. And so they're just kind of chilling neutrally in the middle, which doesn't really make for really addictive, binge-worthy content. And I mean that in a positive way, right? Because we're providing value in our videos here. So that's why it's so important that you're taking a stand for something and against something else. And a good example of this would be Mike, the fellow I mentioned earlier, and how his anti-vision was like, you don't have to niche down. And he made a video about that. It got less than 200 views, and he got 2 clients from that video, because those people were against niching. He was against niching. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what, I can do this without doing the thing that I hate? Yes, you can. Here's how we do it. And then you work together. So that's why an anti-vision is just so bloody impactful. So next up, we've got the 4 attention levers, and this effectively refers to titles, anti-thumbnails, human hook, and your visual USP. So these are all related to packaging and first impression of your videos and ultimately your brand. So it's so important that you dial these in. And I've made an entire video about this, which I'll link up here, which you can watch after this if you want to. But fundamentally, your titles, your thumbnails, and the way that you show up and speak in your videos are going to define your brand, and it's going to make you memorable. And if you don't pay attention to this, and if you treat it like an afterthought, then you're not likely to be memorable. And I know this stuff can seem annoying, but it is hands down one of the most the most significant reason why my brand has grown so much in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. It's because of the way I title things, the way I show up in a thumbnail, how I bring my story into it, the human hook, that's what I'm referring to there. And then where I film things. So I often film outside in nature, and this is honestly responsible for generating 6 figures just in the last few months. So do not overlook these levers, because it will change your business for the better. Now the next piece is your winning content pillars. And a content pillar, effectively, it's a style of video that you do. And it's good to have different pillars because it helps you with your own content creation system and having a cadence. Most notably, a content pillar is going to speak to different levels of awareness, we would say. So like one content pillar could be like a deep dive. So like this video, it's quite an in-depth dive into this whole system that I'm sharing. And this is like for people that are further along in their journey, let's say. Whereas if I wanted to also reach people that maybe don't understand the complex things that we're talking about here, then I would make more of a philosophical video, right? So this is going to attract in different people at different stages. And over time, people might move through different stages of awareness, in which case having those content pillars is just a good way to keep things exciting for you as a creator, but also it engages people in different ways. Like some videos are about shifting beliefs, some videos are about teaching, some videos are about both. And having those content pillars just helps build more trust, more depth of connection. And that's effectively what is going to pre-sell premium clients for you. A really good example of this is a client called Phil, who just went balls to the walls making a video every single day of him walking around. And pretty quickly, within a couple of months, he had a few thousand subscribers and a lot of sales calls coming in. And it's just an example of how if you stick to a system, you end up making progress and you end up learning from it. So the next thing that we're looking at here is your signature IP and the movement that you're creating. Now, effectively what you're doing here is translating your own mission and your vision into your content to create motion in a particular direction. And then you solidify that by creating IP or intellectual property. And honestly, this is one of the most enjoyable and creative parts of this whole space that I love, is that you can just come up with names for things and create systems and package them up. And it's just a very fun way of distilling information. And it allows people to grasp things better. If you can bundle it up, put it together, someone now can look at that, and it's not this fragmented information anymore, but it's rather a system that you have created based on your own expertise. And this is what makes you stand out. When you create your own things, it gives you authority. That's why, like, creating lead magnets, creating offers, even if nobody gets them, it's still adding to your credibility, because most people have never built anything. So if you're building stuff, that's already making you leagues ahead of the competition, because they're stuck on the fence not doing anything. So having signature IP is just a game changer when it comes to actually cutting through the noise and standing out and being seen as someone who's trustworthy and reputable. So when something or someone is moving in a direction, it attracts energy and momentum, and naturally people see that and they want to be a part of it, and so they align to this movement that you're creating. And an example of someone, in my opinion, who does this very well, again, is Alexandra, who I mentioned earlier. And her whole thing is Instagram growth without hating the content that you're making. For someone who wants to make content on Instagram, of course they want to have a joyful time doing it. And so they're going to jump into her movement. So now that your brand is growing and it's giving people a real unique experience, it's time to turn some of these followers into pre-sold premium clients. So next up we have what I call a simple alignment flywheel. So it's not a funnel, very different, to be honest with you, because I feel like funnels are often more so focused on conversion, whereas the flywheel is focused on value at every single stage. So what we're doing is shifting the energy from selling to aligning. So it's a completely different vibe altogether. And that really is felt by the people in this flywheel. So we're going to build a flywheel between YouTube, mail, and platforms like School to initiate alignment. So mail is typically like the core community thing and like selling platforms, and most sales happen on mail. But School is very useful as well. It's good to have a community. It's good to add extra value for people there with free resources and stuff. And it's just got a lot of features that are very ideal for making invitations for people to work with you. So through just using School, YouTube, and email this year alone, most of the months have been 20K or more. And I'm projecting to do 30 to 40 in this month and in the coming months. And what's most impressive about that is there's no ad spend or anything like that. So it's like very high profit margin to do it this way. So then you might be wondering, how do you get people into this world? And the way you do it is by creating what I call value magnets, which are different from lead magnets in the sense that often lead magnets are like an afterthought. It's like, what's the thing that I can pitch to get someone's email? So the way I like to think about it is your value magnet should, in theory, if somebody goes through your value magnet, like a mini course or something, they should be able to have a micro transformation or maybe even a bigger transformation. And honestly, the amount of people that have like joined my community and gone through the courses there on content creation and offer development, and the results that they've gotten are just phenomenal, and they've never paid me. So that's what you need to be doing, is even treating the audience as respected clients and customers, because most people aren't going to be your client. But in order to attract those clients, we need to be treating everybody with equal respect, I would say, and aiming to give them value. So that's how you get people into the world, is with the value magnet. So now you might be wondering, how do you go about selling stuff to your audience without annoying them? Because we're all afraid that if we try to sell something, people are going to run away and say you're a scammer, right? Happens. And the way that I've circumnavigated this pretty common concern, like nobody wants to be annoying, is through story selling, and by creating assets that sell for you without you having to actually, explicitly sell. So story selling is so important because it builds trust with you as a human, because you're talking about your story, your expertise, why you're trustworthy. It also builds authority. And we do this by mentioning our accolades, mentioning the things we've done for ourselves and others. Again, that builds trust and credibility. And you don't even have to say anything at that point, because the right person who's listening at that moment is going to hear what you're saying, and they're going to think, well, I have this problem. This person has made it apparent that they have a solution, so I'm going to book a call with them to see if I can work with them. That is the power of storytelling, because you're not annoying people. You're just being you, talking about the stuff you've done, owning the value that you've created in the world so far, and being keen to provide more value by taking on clients. So when you use story selling, and in particular, there's two kind of main assets that I like to create. One is the why. So like, why do we do what we do? It's more of a philosophical, belief-changing video. And then the second one is more detailed, like how-to, instructional, educational pieces. And if you want templates for these, by the way, just pop me a message inside my school, and I'll send you the templates that I personally use on this channel. And I share that usually just with the clients, but you've been watching this video, so I want to reward you with that little freebie for you. So just pop me a message and I'll send that to you. So the next thing we're going to look at is the premium client machine. So a premium client will have resources, they'll have a network of their own already. They're already going to be sold on you, and typically they tend to be the best case studies, and they just turn into mutually beneficial relationships where you get a great case study and they make money, or whatever the thing is that you're helping them do. I suppose what I mean by that is a premium client, they're not premium because they pay you lots of money, but they're premium because of the impact that it has on your business over a longer time horizon. And the premium client machine is how you develop a consistent stream of those clients without having to do any hard selling. So you might be wondering, what offers do you need to sell in order to make 5 or 6 figure months? So the way that I see this working most effectively is by having a hybrid offer. So what you do is you build an undeniable core offer, which typically is going to be private coaching. And then you split that core offer into hybrid offers, which are basically lower priced access to parts of that core offer. So while the core offer might be unlimited one-on-one coaching, the lower priced version might be group coaching. So the reason that works really well is because you tailor it to the client and you're able to get them results. So this means if 10 people come to you and maybe they don't all fit into the bracket that would be good for a private coaching client, then you have an option to give them access to a group coaching program or something like this. So now you might be wondering, how do you consistently book calls without praying to go viral? Which is a fairly legitimate concern, because if you don't have views, no one's gonna pick up the phone or press the link or whatever. So what you wanna do is have a multi-channel sales schedule. And how this works is you basically make more offers, which is, for most people, a very easy win, because honestly, the amount of people that just don't make offers and then ask me why they're not making any sales, you'd be shocked. And if you just start making more offers, you start making more sales. It's just cause and effect. So let's say you've got your 3 channels, as an example that I mentioned earlier: YouTube, mail, school. If you just decide for yourself, okay, I'm going to do like a 1-week promotional, value promotional period, we're going to make posts on all of these channels every day or every other day, and I'm going to invite people to join the offer, then you end up just having so many touch points. People hear about it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times over that week. And the people that are on the fence, that are wanting to invest and have a transformation for themselves, they're just going to do it. And that's all you need to do, is just make offers across your different channels. And it's a statistical reality that some people are going to book calls. And if this doesn't go in according to plan, all it just shows you is that your communication could use improvement. So then you test different ways of communicating, test the offer. There's different variables here, right? So you need to pay attention to all of those things in order to actually get the results that you're looking for. And then you cycle the different offer. Remember, we've got this hybrid offer. So maybe 1 week you're doing private, the next week you're doing group, the next week you do a workshop, and so on and so forth. So you're cycling the offer, but you're also cycling where you communicate the offer across those different platforms. And the reason that this works is because, honestly, 5-figure months, they don't exist on your YouTube view count, but it's more so in the back end stuff, like your mailing list, your community, and things like this. And I suppose evidence of that is, if you look at my last 12 uploads, I'm pretty sure they're all around 1K or less views. And this month is on track to be the biggest month of the year. So just kind of goes to show, viewership doesn't mean a whole lot if you don't have a strong back end in place. So now the very last item that we're going to cover is, how do you close high ticket deals without any effort or stress? And the way that I do this is through what I call an anti-sales call. So I don't really follow the rules that most sales coaches would give you, because I don't really like it. And you probably don't either if you made it this far, because it's not really the vibe that we go for here. But we end with the easiest part. The sales call, the discovery call, is the easiest part of this whole process, because you put so much effort in to every step before. And if you're just relying on hard-hitting sales tactics to make to close deals, then you're going to end up burnt out. You're going to end up with clients you don't want to work with, and it's just not going to be a good scenario. So the reason it works so well is because you're not really trying to sell, you're just trying to align with people. The selling, if you will, happens way before anyone ever gets on a call. And by the time they're on a call, it's just a conversation to ensure that it's a good fit from both ends. And it just reduces the pressure, because you know, in this low trust environment that we're in at the moment, like most people, especially like most people that are into business and stuff, they've been on a high pressure sales call with some closer, and it's not nice. And we don't like the vibe, we don't like the feeling. So let's just not do it. So this is like my approach. Like I don't follow a script or anything like that. And my close rate's about 55%. Pretty much everyone that I've taught how to do this find the process to be a lot more enjoyable, and you know, you end up getting more clients and it's just less effort. So it's just a fun way to do the dreaded sales call, because let's be honest, for a lot of us it is a dreaded sales call. But it doesn't have to be that way. So now here's why the flywheel, it's not a funnel, because the client relationships and the case studies end up flowing back to the top, and those are the catalysts that attract even more strangers. And once you have the clients, it doesn't end there. More so, that's kind of just the beginning, as you see, because the goal shouldn't just be, you know, cash collected or revenue, but it's how many transformations are you actually helping people achieve. And those who are fit for this space focus on real impact, and then the temporary people that are in it for a quick buck, like they'll focus on money, which is fine, to each their own. But for me, I just have experienced that helping people and seeing transformation is just so much more energizing and valuable to me compared to making money. And it's not to say that I don't like making money, but the thing is, the transformation is what allows more money to flow. So focus and lead with the transformation. The money will take care of itself. And that's how you have a good time with your business and the people that you work with. All that being said, right now I've opened up some space in my private one-on-one coaching program, which is the highest tier of access you can get to me. And we work together over a longer duration because I just want to leave no room for error when it comes to hitting the 20K or more target per month with YouTube as the primary platform. So it's only for coaches, experts, consultants, or creators that have an offer but are struggling to generate the consistent stream of premium clients to help actually grow your business and transform people's lives. So I do have a pretty hefty selection process for this, not because I'm an asshole, but I just want to make sure, because we do this work over such a long period of time, that I can actually help you get to where you want to go. You can leave your application in the first link of the description. I'll check it out and I'll get back to you either way. All right, bye.